host, Rib, and we are going into the new week of news. And with this week of news, we have my NBA and the W. That's the WNBA. It does not mean that it's on Monday, which is when this podcast is releasing. It does not mean it's today. And I think that's for pretty much everything. So far, the gameplay and the my player, my career courtside reports have not been on the Monday. They've been basically middle of the week. Wednesday, Thursday, I think, are the days to look for. And same thing for my NBA and the W news. Wednesday, Thursday, and player ratings as well. I think this week, if I remember correctly, there should be some player ratings. So, unfortunately, this podcast will not be involving 2K25 news, but it will be involving 2K25 and some concerns that I have over things that I've been reading people post on the NBA 2K subreddit. I think this first started on Twitter, where I saw some people comparing their 2K24 builds to the 2K25 clips of the player builder that we've been seeing. And then it kind of snowballed from there. I first made a post about the builders a few days ago when the courtside report came out, the day of or the day after. I went on 2K24 and I tried to replicate the same attributes, the same height, just to see how big the discrepancy is between the builders. And it's you can't actually make a 2K25 build in 2K24. It's not possible. And what I've been seeing a lot is people attempting to adjust the 2K24 builder by saying, we're getting more attributes in 2K25, so this is my build. And there's Reddit posts, there's Twitter posts about it. And what people seem to be forgetting is the way the builder works in 2K25, based on the clips, when you see an attribute go up, there is many more attributes going up with it. Many more than in 2K24. So when you raise driving layup, for example, in 2K25, you're going to see a bunch of other attributes also going up. Whereas in 2K24, that's not the case. Not nearly as much. So when people think they're getting more attribute points because there's no stamina to put points into, and because they're saying this based on the 2K24 builder in comparison to the 25, but it doesn't work that way. And it's a mistake. It's probably a FOMO mistake, or people trying to get ahead of the curve, I guess, and trying to make their builds before the game is even out, which I understand the hype. I get it. You want to be like the first one that has the cool build and whatnot. But it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's cool to compare, to see the differences, just, to have that information of, oh, this and this and this, it's so different. It's cool to do that. But don't go into a 2K24 builder and try to make the same build and then say, oh, we're getting more attributes in 25. This is the build I'm going to make in 25. And, you're trying to take into account stamina, you're trying to take into account other things, but the builders are so incomparable this way that it's confusing for a lot of people, right? A lot of people look at it and they're trying to understand what you're trying to do. If you're just comparing to see the differences, that's one thing. But if you're trying to compare to try to make a build before the game is out so that you feel like you're ahead, that's probably a mistake, because you're going to end up not taking into consideration certain things. Heck, 2K might even fix stuff. They might even patch certain things before the game is even out and make whatever little clips we see of the builder obsolete. So try not to take to heart, all the builder pictures that people are posting and saying you can do this and this, and because we're just not sure. I think another thing is the cap breakers, which I've talked about. There's a lot of people that are really excited for the cap breakers, and I'm a little confused about that because you get them through rep, meaning you have to play a lot of games because there's only 15 cap breakers for the whole year. They're not going to let you get all 15 in a month or two. It's going to take the whole year, and most people will not get all of them. Most 2K players will not get all cap breakers unless 2K really is like making significant changes to the way something like this would work, where all you have to do is look at previous years, and that's how I'm making my assumption, is based on previous years and the rewards. And you look at the top 10 rep reward. You need to be playing thousands and thousands of games of park game, GV3 Pro-Am. You need to be playing that stuff like every day to even beat top 10. To get the attribute boost and whatever rewards come with being top 10. 2K25, we don't know exactly how quick, how slow the rep is going to be, but I'm pretty sure most people will not be getting all the cap breakers. You might get a few. So yeah. So that's that. That's what I got to say about 2K25 is that stuff. In terms of questions and answers from 2K25, there haven't been any new ones since the last podcast. So there have been some questions that I didn't look at that I guess I could look at now. And we can go through them a little bit and see what it is that we have here. So the last answer being on the 9th. Today being the 12th, you can see there's actually been quite a few days without an answer on the official 2K Discord. Are there changes to the total amount of attribute points in the My Player Builder? So this is a good question as a segue to what we were just talking about. Each year, the overall rating system in my career goes through a massive overhaul. This is Zach Timmerman, by the way, the developer, answering. Across the board, we're always looking to maximize ways for players to make fun, unique builds while also preventing metas and demigods from sneaking through the cracks. If you know Zach has tweeted out that he hates demigod builds. As a developer, he does not like them, and he says 2K25 has 0 demigod builds. So let's continue. While there are literally hundreds of thousands of different My Player possibilities out there, we've created more tools that pull out the outliers, thus allowing us to increase the flexibility and the number of attributes a user can apply to their player. In the end, in almost all cases, if you recreate a build from 24 and 25, you'll end up with a lower overall that leaves room to allow you to pump in some more attributes. So, this kind of is saying something backwards from what I was just talking about. But I think this is going to confuse so many people. Basically, his idea of there being no demigods is, and at least this answer is that by having no demigods, everybody is a demigod kind of thing. To where you're going to be able, and I'm saying this based on Zach's answer here, you're going to be able to have well-rounded builds. Well-rounded, like 70, maybe a lot of 80 overalls, like 80 dunk, 80 shooting, 80 passing, 80 rebound, 80 steal. I can see that. I understand that. I get that. I'm fine with that. But, and I think this is very important, the best players in the game, the best individuals, the best builds in the game are usually not these kinds of builds. They usually have, they're specialized builds. So what does that mean? Well, for one, if you're a well-rounded build, you're not going to have any legend badges. The new legend badge, which a few days ago, Zach talked about the scaling between the badges. And he said, in most cases, the difference you'll see in the impact between the higher badge levels, Hall of Fame and Legend, for example, is larger than the lower. So one of the many reasons for this is that higher level of badges get progressively more powerful, which is why all legend badges in 2K25 have I think it's 97 minimum requirement in the attribute, right? So they're going to be more expensive in that sense. Builds are going to be more expensive to be elite at any one thing. The idea of a demigod build is a build that can be elite at a bunch of things, which in 25 is not possible. We know that. You might be able to have, I think, 2, maybe 3 legend badges max, and there's 40 in the game. So think about that. Think about that. You might be able to have like 2 or 3 different legend badges in the game, and there's 40 badges altogether. It really depends on what build, because I think if you go for if you're a center and you put 99 interior, 99 rebound, you're probably going to have like 4 or 5 or something. And if you put, 99 ball handle, 99 playmaking, you're going to have like maybe 5 or 6. It depends, because each category of badges, there's like different amounts. I think shooting badges, there's only a few. So, the point is, if you try to get legend badges, the build is gonna feel expensive. But as I was saying earlier, the best builds, the more, what's the word here? The better, the more competitive builds, the builds that get the advantage, are usually these specialized builds. It's the little guard with 90 plus ball handle, 99 3 or 99 mid range, 80 90 speed, and then nothing else. They don't need nothing else. That's my 6'4". If you know my YouTube channel, that's my 6'4" build is 98 mid range, 94 3, 95 ball handle. I have no finishing. I have little defense, little to no defense, basically no defense. But the build works. It works for my play style, and it works for how I know how to play defense. And it's not for everybody. These specialized builds are not for everybody. I do recommend most people to make that all around, useful build. That's the best. That's probably the best for park. That's probably the best for rec. It's probably the best in general terms to make a very well-rounded build. But once you enter Pro-Am, these well-rounded builds are not going to do as well as a full team of specialized builds. And all you have to do is just stop and think for a second there to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because if you have a specialized point guard, right, that's like shooting, dribbling, or playmaking and dribbling, and then you have a shooting guard that's like shooting, finishing, and you have a small forward that's a lock, that's like full defense, and you have a center that's maybe interior or whatever. You get the picture. Hey, 2K community, are you a competitive player who likes money? Prove it on Gamer Saloon, the ultimate arena for NBA 2K players. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, Gamer Saloon lets you challenge players from around the world and win real cash prizes. So no more playing 1v1s to brag about it. Now you can get paid for winning. Gamer Saloon offers a seamless platform with various tournaments and head-to-head matches, perfect for every level of player. Listeners of the NBA 2K podcast can sign up today at gamersaloon.com/ribpodcast. All one word, gamersaloon.com/ribpodcast, link in the description. If you have a full team of legend badges, and they all have different legend badges, I think, and this is all speculation because we still don't, we know the words, we know that, Zach said these badges are more powerful, and we understand that, but all of this means nothing until we actually get in the game and see for ourselves. This is just my opinion based on my knowledge of the game and my knowledge of the information received. Last year, during Community Day, a bunch of people, I'm not going to name names because they were wrong, but a bunch of people were saying that defense was completely necessary this year. Point guards with no defense were going to fail. And my most used build in 2K24 is a point guard with no defense. It's a 6'4" point guard, no defense. I win every game. Purple plate since November. In rec, in pro-am, the build is fine. Defense attributes were not necessary for me. And that's the thing that these people don't tell you when you're reading from a developer, from a community member, is you have to keep in mind your play style dictates a lot of how a build works and doesn't. So if somebody tells you you're going to need defense, they're telling you that based on their own knowledge of the build, of the builder, and their playmaking style, their play style is what I'm trying to say. So they are going to need defense. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to need defense. And then it's also, you have to look at the game modes that you play. If you play a lot of Park, your build is not going to be the same as somebody that plays a lot of Pro-Am. All of that takes into account when we're talking about builds and creating our builds and everything that I talked about today in this pod. There is no one right way of going about it. Even when I'm saying I think specialized builds are better, I'm speaking from a team perspective. I'm speaking not from Park. I'm not going to be playing Park again. I don't really enjoy Park. I don't like the flashy Park animations. I don't like how quick the games are. I don't like how cheesy the games can be. If you're tall and you're usually the better team, and that's basically it. Yeah, I like the 5v5. I like tournament play. I like team play. I like making my own, uniforms, my court. I like that atmosphere a little better, the more competitive atmosphere, because I played sports growing up. I played sports till I was in my 20s. Team sports always, and it's just in me. I like the competitiveness from team sports. So my idea for 2K25 builds and what works and what doesn't is strictly based on the 5v5 modes. And that's how everybody should look at builds. When you look online right now and you see people saying, oh, this is in 2K24, you can do this, and 2K25, you can actually copy and do. Well, no, we don't know exactly what you can and can't do. And the builds are going to have more, you can put more. We don't know that. We don't know exactly, because the information that we've seen so far as of this podcast, we have not seen enough information to tell us how each attribute, close shot, driving layup, driving dunk, standing dunk, post control, mid-range, we have not seen how they all are different. What other stats do they raise? And then the height and the position and the weight, the wingspan, we don't know how all of that meshes together. What we do know for sure, and what I can say for sure, is the 25 builder is completely different from the 24 builder. Completely different. Do not try to rationalize a 2K25 build in 2K24. It's not going to work. So, to recap, there's been a lot of people comparing posts, a lot of people comparing builders. Let's try not to compare builders unless we're just doing it to see the differences. Because, yeah, it's cool to see the differences. There was no more demigods in 2K25, but there's going to be a lot of well-rounded builds that are going to do very well in most game modes. And specialized builds, I think, are still the, in quote, meta. Specifically for Rack and Pro-Am, I don't play Park. I really don't care for Park at all. I'm sure there's probably some good specialized builds for Park, but I'm not going to get into that. So, when are we going to see the next courtside report? I'm gonna guess either 10:45 a.m. on the 14th, which is Wednesday, 10:45 a.m. Eastern, or 10:45 a.m. Eastern, Thursday, the 15th. I could be wrong. This is just based on the last 2 weeks. I'm just guessing based on the last 2 weeks. Could be wrong. It could be on Tuesday. This one is for my NBA and the W, and there are 2K ratings as well. So keep that in mind. I am also working on AMAs. I am still working on getting developers and community people to do AMAs in our subreddits. So stay tuned for that. But that's it. That's it for me. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.